welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing as it helps out the channel, and give this video a like if you do like it. So this is a review for Sentimental Over You, released in 1947 on the 8th of March. It had a blue ribbon reissue on the 26th of December 1953. Sadly, the original titles do not exist anymore. It's the 492nd in the series. You can find the full short on the Looney Tunes Superstars Pepe Le Pew DVD set, and I have a link below to that. And because I can't show you the full cartoon for the copyright reasons, just a brief synopsis to get us going. So essentially, a hairless dog is sad that she isn't as beautiful as all the other hairy dogs, so she decides to wear a coat to compensate, but she ends up picking a skunk coat. Not sure why one would own one, but anyway, and ends up scaring the other dogs. But she ends up being pursued by Pepe Le Pew, who else, and hilarity ensues. And with me today to discuss the trivia and just give this nice brief review is my good friend and fellow commentator, Blue Genocide. Say hi.
I heard you guys missed me.
Yes, terribly. Alrighty, so let's start off with, I just want to give off a brief bit of trivia, and we'll get underway with the review. So, while Pepe would be the same character as in future appearances, the setup is different to what would end up being the formula with the cat in all of them, which I know Blue loves. You know, he loves Pepe Le Pew. Don't lie. And notably, he's not in France just yet. There is a reference to a book called A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and that was published in 1943, and I found out just now that it's a book that's still in print today. So go and read it and tell me what it's like, because I don't have the time to read it at this stage. So it's the second Pepe Le Pew, and much like with the first appearance, it sort of ends with Pepe not really being a French skunk, so to speak. It's, I don't know, it's one of those things. And according to a model sheet, the original title appears to have been called Forever Ambushed, and the dog was also named Fifi, despite not being named in the short. So, yeah, there's some trivia for you. So, Mr. Blue Genocide. So, you said to me you're not the biggest fan of Pepe shorts, but given that this one is a different type of short, Pepe short, I guess, did you think this one was any better? Or...
Alright, so I need to tell everybody that, first of all, I got completely confused about which short this actually was, because
Yes.
I thought we were talking about For Sentimental Reasons. And when I heard that title, Sentimental Over You, I was like, oh, you know what? I've seen that one on TV and on disc a million times. A million times. I could talk about that cartoon in my sleep. But it turns out that they really liked the pun Sentimental, because it was used here, it was used for Sentimental Reasons, and in 1951 it was used one more time for Sentimental Romeo.
Well,
obviously they weren't planning on keeping things chronological, because they show it once in theaters. It may get reissued 4 years later or something like that, 4 or 5 years later. And then there was no TV. TV was barely a thing yet. They weren't concerned with that, so it didn't matter to them.
Yeah, and I don't know if Chuck even thought that Pepe, well, he probably wasn't even known as Pepe in the very beginning. I think it's either Henry or Stinky or whatever story you hear. I don't think he planned it so much to be an ongoing character, even though he clearly had decided to make an ongoing character. So I don't know. I quite like this one. I actually think it's really good, and the ending is one that just gets me every single time. It's just, Chuck would end up reusing that gag in, I believe, a sheepdog, the Sam and Ralph short, where they keep on taking off their disguises and all that sort of stuff. But it works here pretty well, and you can see it coming. But I thought it was the best part. I love it.
I gotta say that the Sam and Ralph cartoons are some of my favorite Looney Tunes of all time. Those ones are hilarious, and they are some of Chuck's best work. To get back to your question, though, I do like that this one at least has a different formula than the one that was popularized in Sentimental Reasons. I do like the angle they go for it, and you do feel kind of bad for this little dog who looks more like a mouse than a dog to me. But
Yes.
you know, it's just it's not that like it can like the Pepe cartoons upset me for their subject matter or whatever. It's just that it's the same basic gag every time, and I don't think they do a whole lot to make it unique in each short. But this one, at least, while they were figuring out that formula, it doesn't feel that way. So
Mm.
I would say that I'd rather watch this than say, I don't even know on the list, Wild Over You, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I'm also going to bring up Scooby Doo of all things because I actually rewatched the original series, which is actually not as bad as people might say it is. But I noticed that the first season of that, when they were trying to figure things out, because it wasn't a formula, it was actually rather interesting to watch. And I think this short is similar in that regard. You've got a nice, it's like a fresh new idea of this this skunk who just doesn't realize he stinks, and he's chasing after someone that he's clearly infatuated with. But and you gotta love Mel Blanc's delivery. He's still not, figuring out slightly, how at the end he goes, he's just doing that fake French, and he goes, "Oh, come on, baby," at the end of that, which I thought was quite funny, but that's pretty good. And Be a Bandera is pretty good. So, final thoughts. I give this about an 8 out of 10 solely for the ending. If the ending wasn't there, it'd be probably more like a 7. But that ending gave me a big laugh, so I'm like, you know what? I'll be generous.
Well,
I'm going
I'm
to
gonna, I'm
give it
gonna
an 8
piss
out of
everybody
10.
off.
What say you?
I'm gonna piss everybody off and say I'm gonna give it a 7.
No. That's fair. Like I said, I'm being generous, but you know what? I like it, and yeah. So, as always, guys, thank you for watching this review. Let me know in the comments below. Feedback is always welcome, as it's helping me craft these reviews and make them better and better as we move forward. So, thanks a lot, guys. Until next time. See ya.